So say, little boy, won't you come home with me?
Sure, we're already there.
Good point.
I'm not the world's most masculine man, but I know what I am. And man, I'm a man, and so is Justin.
You're glad you're a man.
I'm glad I'm a man, and
Yeah.
so is Justin.
So today we're going to do the Kinks and their famous hit song from 1970, Lola. Let me give you a little history on the Kinks, the band. The Kinks were formed as a rhythm and blues band in 1963 in London, England, by brothers Ray and Dave Davies. They're actually one of the original British invasion groups. Funny thing about the Kinks is they really haven't stood the test of time, let's say, like the Who has, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. They've kind of been forgotten a little bit.
Yeah, they still get a couple of songs with some radio play, specifically Lola. But yeah, you're right. This is a band that's kind of been lost to time.
Yeah, they've got some really good albums, and so it's unfortunate that they're not played as often as they should be. So the Kinks are formed of Ray Davies on vocals, Dave Davies on guitar, Pete Quaife on bass, and Mick Avery on drums. Like the Rolling Stones, the Kinks were some of the first white musicians to explore and play rhythm and blues. They had a huge influence on the Who and had huge influences on the early 70s heavy metal and hard rock scene. But their later music after that did take on a lot of different aspects like folk, country, punk, etc. They influenced a lot of bands. Some to come to mind are like the Ramones, the Clash, Blondie, Van Halen, many others. They had a lot of success from 1966 to 72, but they began to have a lot of problems as a band in the 70s, mainly personal issues between the band members. From 1977 to 1985, they did have moderate success once again, albeit somewhat of a different style of music. All in all, they released 24 studio albums, 6 live albums, and 33 compilation albums. Now, they had 6 of those albums were in the top 50 in the UK, with 3 albums in the top 10 in the UK. The Kinks and Kinda Kinks both hit number 3 in the UK. That was their highest. In the US, they had 5 albums in the top 50, with Kinks and their debut album reaching number 7 as their highest charting album in the US.
It's shocking that these guys have been lost to history.
But even so, they didn't really have any chart-topping success with these albums. And there's some pretty decent albums if you spend some time and listen to them. 5 of their compilation albums have hit the top 10. They've had 2 EPs that actually did hit number 1 in the UK, Kink Size Session and Quiet Kinks. They released a total of 78 singles over the history of the band. Now, as far as the singles are concerned, in the UK, they had 19 singles that hit the top 20. They did have 3 number 1 singles, You Really Got Me, Tired of Waiting for You, and Sunny Afternoon. In the US, they only had 7 singles in the top 20, Tired of Waiting and Come Dancing, which was later in 1982, both hit number 6, and that's the highest they charted in the US. You Really Got Me hit number 7, and All Day and All the Night hit number 7 as well, with Lola, the song we're doing today, hit number 9 in the U.S. All in all, they've sold about 60 million albums worldwide, and they were inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1990. As far as the Kinks are concerned, the Davies brothers did continue to tour together up until about 96, even though all the other original members had departed the band. It does go without saying, even though I know a lot of the kids and the younger folks today haven't heard of the Kinks, but they are one of the most influential bands of all time, not to mention just the 60s. But they had a very big piece in the British invasion and very big piece in just simply in the music scene in the 60s.
Yeah, for sure. When you talk about things like the influence that they had with You Really Got Me, and some of their other hits, like you can hear that very song being played and covered by band after band after band.
So do you want to get to the song review?
I do.
And now it's time for the song review.
So today we're doing the Kinks and their hit 1970 single, Lola. Now this was released as a single on June 12th of 1970 in the UK and not till June 28th in 1970 in the US. The B-side of this single was Berkeley Muse in the UK and a song called Motherhood in the US. And this song's off the Kinks-Lola vs. Power Man and the Money Ground, Part 1. That's the album this song's off of. It was recorded at Morgan Studios in London, England. Produced by Ray Davies. You've got John Gosling on piano and Ken Jones on maracas joining the rest of the Kinks. Once again, this song reached number 9 in the US, number 2 in the UK and Canada, and there were several smaller countries it did reach number 1 in. And it probably is, like you stated earlier, one of their more commonly played songs to this day on any kind of classic rock radio.
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, the single is certified platinum in the UK. The band's last big hit came with Sunny Afternoon in 1966, so it had basically been 4 years since they'd really had a hit song on the radio, and this was the first one since then. Now, Ray Davies claims he wrote the lyrics after one night when their manager got drunk and started dancing with what he thought was a woman in this club, but guess what? It was a man.
Transvestite.
But I've also heard other things said that it was about Ray Davies himself and that, so who knows what it is? I'm not sure.
Yeah, Ray, it was the manager, sure.
Yeah. So the song is pretty descriptive. The lyrics are pretty easy to follow if you listen to them. And
yeah, I was just going to say that you probably haven't, if you haven't listened to the lyrics, you really need to. Like, I heard this song on the radio time and time and time again, right? And I had no idea what they were singing. I didn't listen to the lyrics. I didn't really try to pick it out. And then I had a friend that actually said, hey, you need to, like, listen to this song actively. And he pointed out what they were saying. I'm like, oh, this is a funny story.
Well, the good thing about this song, which I enjoy, is it's a very good song musically as well. Even if you don't listen to the lyrics, it's got a good beat to it, and it's very catchy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the song's basically about a guy that meets a girl in a club who takes him home to basically, do it. Mm-hmm. And the guy finds out that Lola is actually not a woman at all. It's a man. But the funny thing is, this man does fall in love with this transvestite.
She had a heart of gold.
Yes.
He had a heart of gold just as
someone had a heart of gold.
Yeah.
What's another funny fact about this song is the BBC in England made them change the Coca-Cola to Cherry Cola because the BBC at the time, they banned any kind of product ads in music. And so their stance was that, you can't use Coca-Cola, but I think most people know it as Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola is a brand. Cherry Cola is just a generic drink.
Yeah, and there are some versions of it out there that say Cherry Cola. It's found on many of their compilations.
I've heard the Cherry Cola.
Yeah, so Rolling Stone, for what it's worth, ranks this song as high as number 386 on their top 500. I think I would put it a little higher than that.
Low. That is way low on the list. Rolling Stone, get with it.
And one of the most popular parodies, or I should say cover, but it's a parody cover of this song, is from Weird Al Yankovic, which is a song titled Yoda. And we did listen to that and got a kick out of that.
And that one also belongs on the Rolling Stone top 500 higher than 386, I think.
I'm not sure if I agree with you there,
That's a
but
beautiful parody.
We can agree to disagree.
Okay.
So after listening to Lola a couple times, Tyler, what are your thoughts on this song?
This song is, like I said a little bit there, my history with this song is I've heard it in the background on radio stations before. Several times ever since my childhood. Never really listened to it actively until I was in my 20s. And one of my friends that I worked with said, you need to listen to this song, like really listen to it. Because he was just kind of singing about it. He's like, I'm not the world's most masculine man, but I know what I am. And man, I'm a man. And so was Lola. And I thought, wait, that's what it says? And then I listened to the rest of it, and the rest of it's just pure gold. So it starts with this acoustic guitar intro, and then quickly the rest of the band joins in, and they slowly ramp it up until you get to the bridge. And then the bridge is just beautiful poetry where all of these instruments are playing so nicely together. They're blending so well together. It's just a beautiful song to listen to. And that's why you're going to see this song on a lot of party mixes or on, the radio play. It may have a little bit, risque theme to it, or maybe even a little bit of a pride theme to it, depending on, where you're standing on it. But everybody's going to hear this song because it's a fun song. And it's well written. It's got a beautiful story. And some of the things that I loved about this, he starts off about how he's in this bar or in a club in the north end of Soho, and he's drinking champagne, but it tastes just like Coca-Cola. I'm like, okay, so does that mean this is a real dive bar or something where they've just slipped soda in instead of the alcohol, or they've watered it down with Coca-Cola? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not going to get into too much of the lyrics, but he's so descriptive about how it just gradually comes on with, he meets this person that comes over to ask him to dance. He agrees to dance, and she squeezes him tight, pops his back, because she's squeezing him so tight. And then she's like, hey, let's go to my place. So they leave the club, and have a good time going to her house. And then he's like, well, I'm going to leave. And so he makes his way to the door, and he falls down to his knees, and he turns around, makes eye contact with Lola, and it's like, oh, I can't leave. She's so great, even if she's a he. And hey, girls will be boys and boys will be girls in this world. And what more can I say about this? This is a beautiful song. It's not the typical love song that you get, but I think this is a bit of a tongue-in-cheek love song, and it's sweet. I like it. What do you think about this one, Justin?
So I've listened to this song for a lot of years, and kind of like you from the very beginning, I just took it as kind of a catchy song. I didn't really read into the lyrics, and maybe I was young enough I wouldn't have thought any different of it anyways. It's a very simple song to play on acoustic guitar, and it's one of the first ones I learned. Oh. It's got very simple chords to it, and it's kind of fun to play. It was later till I found out the lyrics where you realize that this song is way ahead of its time when what it really boils down to. Singing about a transvestite or a cross-dresser or whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, it's pretty blatant in the lyrics. And so it's funny that the BBC would ban Coca-Cola, but they're not worried about any of the content of the song, especially when you put yourself in the mind of the 1970s. And not just 1970s, early 1970. And so that strikes me as funny, but it's an excellent song all the way around. I like the acoustic intro, and then it kicks into almost a banjo background type of feeling. It kind of sounds like a banjo to me, but
it does.
And like you said, he met her in a club down in Old Soho. After the first little verse, I love when the electric kicks in. The song, as far as musically, has got good harmonies to the vocals when it kicks in on the verse. It's got good bass. The drumming's mixed up front, which seems to be kind of hit and miss for a lot of the 60s and 70s songs. I really enjoy this song, and I think in some ways this could be enjoyed without the description of the lyrics as well.
For sure.
You could put this, it's like listening to the Weird Al song. The music in that song sounds almost identical to this. And some of his songs sound similar, obviously, but the music in it sounds like the track was taken off of it. It's just got a good beat to it. When the electric guitar kicks in, I like the chorus. I like the lyrics. I like everything about it, and I'm glad I'm a man, and so is Lola. It ends with the la 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 Lola, over and over and over, and then it fades out. I generally don't like fade outs as much. Other ways to end songs, but this song's a pretty good song and near perfect for me. I really enjoy the song.
Oh, for sure. And all of this goes down 1 week after this kid's moved out of his mom's basement. He falls so hard into the very deep end of society.
Yeah, he's jumping right into that underground of society that's so realistic and was just as realistic then as it is nowadays. But I think what makes this song great is musically, it's a great song, but I think the lyrics are so on the edge for almost 55 years ago now.
For sure.
It's crazy that they allowed that, but they had a problem with the Coca-Cola. That's just what cracks me up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised that they didn't have a problem with champagne because, hey, Prohibition's on. Don't you know that?
Well, it's not that far back.
That's not that far back.
But, the Kinks kind of remind me of, obviously, if you listen to this podcast, the Beatles are my favorite band, and they have a lot of music similar where it's just all over the place. The only thing the Kinks didn't seem to do from their early stuff is didn't seem like they matured with their music quite as quickly, but then they did when it got into the 70s, and they've got some hidden gems on those early and the late albums, and they're not too bad of a band, really. And that's putting it mildly. I really enjoy the Kinks, and it's unfortunate that they're one of the bands that has kind of, other than a few of their popular songs, has been lost to time. I would say a lot of their music is more definitively British than some of the other bands that are still popular, and I don't know if that's what's been a little bit of their downfall, but there's a lot of great bands, a lot of great songs that just don't get their due justice nowadays.
Yeah, what could be more British than Berkeley Muse?
Yeah, yeah. So do you want to get the song rating?
I am chomping at the bit to rate this song.
Song rating.
Okay, if this is your first episode you listen to, welcome, and we're so glad to have you here. And our rating system is on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being this song doesn't cut it. It's, makes your ears bleed. 10 being it's such pure gold that I'm going to go out and buy this song and add it to my Spotify at the very least.
Yeah, because you don't have to buy it on Spotify.
That's not a secret. Everybody knows that, Ty. With this song, it's perfect. This is a perfect 10. And I've had a few 10s lately, but this song, I just adore this song, everything about it. And on top of that, I rate the Weird Al Yankovic version Yoda as a 10 too. I think both of them are perfect 10s. It's just the performing, the instruments are spot on, the vocals are great, the writing, the subject matter, the material, it's all there. I love everything about this. Where do you put it, Justin?
Once again, I'm not quite as high as you on this one, but I rate this song a 9.5. It's an excellent song. It's going to be in my top 100 songs without a doubt, whatever that playlist is. And I just love the Kinks, and I implore anyone to not only go listen to this song and the subject matter in this song, and if you don't like it, then don't listen to the subject matter, but listen to the song because it's a damn good song. But go check out the Kinks and what they have to offer because they're an amazing band. Yeah. And it's just unfortunate they haven't made it quite as far as some other bands have nowadays.
That is going to be our goal with this episode. We want to resurrect the entire catalog of the Kinks. So go back there and listen to all of them.
But that's the Kinks and Lola. And until next time, if you've got any questions, comments, or concerns, send them to classicvinylpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, we really, really appreciate you taking your time to listen to us. We know you all have busy days, and if you're listening to us two uneducated, silly fools, then it's appreciated more than you know. But until next time, we'll see you later.
Thank you so much for listening to Classic Vinyl Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Classic Vinyl Podcast for updates, and also share us with your music-loving friends.